What's up YouTube, Quantum Light 62 here. Okay, so, Photon Strike Bouncer and number 25 Force Focus. These two cards were released in Galactic Overlord and they have been out for almost 2 years now. There are decks that can summon them, such as Spirits, Photons to an extent, maybe old school Photons, Heretics, Insectors, Gagagas, and those are just to name a few. But my main concern here is that why don't these cards see play? If these decks can actually utilize them, why aren't they seeing any play? Well, let's take a look at Force Focus first. 2800 attack, 2400 defense, rank 6, light, machine, effect. It negates monster effects, of course. Here, this is what the two of them have in common ground. When a level 5 or higher monster has its effects activated, that is the opponent's monster, it just attaches one overlay unit and negates the effect. That's it. It doesn't destroy it, it just puts a halt to the effect. Now, moving on to Photon Strike Bouncer, he's somewhat similar. Check us out. Light Warrior, rank 6, 2700 attack, and 2000 defense. Okay, so whenever an opponent's monster, mainly the opponent, his monster activates the effect, just attach an overlay unit, negate the monster's effect. However, instead of just destroying it or just leaving it like that, as opposed to Force Focus, your opponent takes 1000 points of damage. Overall, these guys are monster negators. I don't know, some of you guys might know this, but I didn't really realize it until a little bit later. What I'm talking about here is the answer to the question, why don't these cards see play? They're obviously good, they have really high stats, they have a really good effect, especially Strike Bouncer. I mean, I remember when that card was one of the money cards in Galactic Overlord. Even me personally, I've actually used these cards myself. What I'm mainly thinking of here is that they're just beaters. They're 2700 attack, 2800 defense, 2800 attack, I mean, respectively, on both accounts. And, well, this is the reason. As opposed to Breakthrough Skill, Effect Veiler, and Phoenix Chain, these guys are out there on the field. They can activate more than once, but they're already out there. Your opponent can already see them coming, you know? In the case of Veiler, Phoenix Chain, and Breakthrough Skill, those are all face downs. They're mixed in with Bottomless, Compulse, and everything else. Your opponent would rather take their chances with that as opposed to what they know could happen. You know, there's no escaping the inevitable here. Your opponent knows the consequences of what could happen if they decide to activate their monster's effects. They know that Force Focus is going to stop something that's level 5 and higher. They know that Strike Bouncer is just going to inflict 1000 to you just for doing that alone. And in the case of Veiler and Phoenix and Breakthrough, like, those are cards that you don't see coming. Veiler is in the hand, Phoenix Chain and Breakthrough Skill, they're face down. You don't know if that's really them or not. Force Focus was reprinted because of, his usability wasn't really that used much. He was reprinted in Star Pack, whereas Strike Bouncer was reprinted in a tin. Both the prices went down, and because of that, the usability it became somewhat obsolete, but I'm not willing to go that far in calling them obsolete. Don't get me wrong, these guys are still usable, but the main problem here is what was just mentioned before. Your opponent sees them out there. You kind of cornered your opponent here. But see, here's the thing. Your opponent can use that against you. In the case of the other three, the traps, and I'm using Veiler as a trap as well, since I'm sorry here, is a hand trap. Therefore, in the case of these two, Force Focus and Strike Bouncer, your opponent sees it coming, but they're willing to take that 1000. They're willing to negate everything. They're willing to take the negation because they want to bait it out. They don't want to wait until later. They want to get rid of those overlay units now. And it's up to you, the user, to know when exactly to detach and activate the effect and to negate the effect. You don't know what your opponent could be planning. Maybe the negation could be part of their plan. In a game where we are more than willing to give our opponent 1000 extra life points just to draw a free card, I'm pretty sure our opponent is more than willing to take 1000 points of damage just for negation and to bait out an opponent's monster effect in order to run out the fuel of Exceeds. So the overall analysis, why don't these cards see play? We have Breakthrough, Phoenix, and Veiler. Now with Veiler being the more expensive one, it's pretty safe to assume that between these two you're going to go with whichever one money can buy. If your decks run either one of these two, or that can utilize these two, I suggest running one of each. I strongly suggest Force Focus first before you head on over to Strike Bouncer. There aren't that many rank 6 Exceeds out there, so take what you can get, at least, Thanks for watching, guys. This is Quantum 962. Lights out.